Welcome back to Design Smith. In this video, I want to start a new series where I'm talking about the weekly favorites that I find on Pinterest. Before we get started, please subscribe to support the channel. Alright, so I'd like to do these videos and I want to talk about maybe 5 to 7 different designs that I'm finding on Pinterest that I really like from a design perspective, or that I think communicates its message very clearly. I think this type of video will be helpful for discussion and inspiration. Alright, so this first design here is a very nice design, and it's made up of just simple geometric shapes. Maybe with the exception of the straw, it's a little bit more complex than a simple geometric shape, but I still think that it's nice and minimal and communicates very well. When I look at this, I feel like a refreshing type of mood. It's obviously making me think of a drink of some kind. I don't know if it's necessarily going for a specific drink. If it were, it would probably be like lemonade or something like that, and in that case, I would probably make it yellow. Maybe I'm missing something entirely, but I do love the overall design of it, and it's made up of just those really basic geometric shapes, and doing something like this can communicate your message very effectively with minimal design. Okay, next up is this really cool poster design with this awesome type layout. If you were to break it down to its roots, this technically is Swiss design. You could probably place some grids directly on top of this, and just eyeballing it here, I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 columns right here. Of course, there could also be 6 going across. Like I've said in previous videos, it doesn't have to be odd numbers. That's just what I've seen from my own research. And in terms of color usage, this is an excellent palette. The yellow and orange perfectly balance with the purple and blue. Each section of the color shades are within the same range on the color wheel, and they really complement each other. And I'm not sure what the actual font is, but I'm guessing that there's some type of effect going on here, because if you zoom in, you can see a little bit of distressing. And they might be using some kind of a blur effect with a threshold laid on top of it, or that could just be the way the font looks. But either way, I love the poster. Orange is probably my favorite color, although it depends on what day you ask me. And this is a great example of having a limited color palette while also still using one color one time. Feel free to do this. Just because you use the color one time in one section doesn't mean you have to use it again in another section. Alright, next up is this very clever poster design of Schrodinger's cat, wanted dead and alive. This is a very clever use of visual communication, taking the idea of the old wanted dead or alive posters and bringing in Schrodinger's cat and saying wanted dead and alive. In my opinion, this hits all points of visual communication. It clearly communicates the joke, it uses established design principles that are already set in our minds, and it's funny. Anything that communicates well and is funny is going to be memorable. And of course, every time I see this, I think of the Tears for Fears song because they're my favorite band. Alright, this next poster up is one of my favorites that I've seen recently, and it's what inspired me to do the perspective grid tutorial in Illustrator. And this poster is a fantastic example of communicating something very minimally. At first glance, when you look at this, your mind is already doing all the heavy lifting here. The shape and the perspective of these squares are telling you that it's the corner of a building. Although when you start analyzing and really looking at this poster, you'll see that they are just rectangles and there is no building. This is a fantastic poster, and it does a great job of communicating its message. And I also love the usage of huge white space here. Any poster that's going to have those really large amounts of white space combined with very minimalist elements are going to give it a great elegant feel. And this is something you don't see a lot of right here, and that's why it's so interesting to me. You don't see a lot of text that's aligned to the right side and then positioned on the left side of the poster. Most designers would be tempted to move this right over here to the right side. However, this is aligned right, and this is aligned left, and they are lined up with each other on the left side. It's just a very unique composition style, and definitely something to use as inspiration, because I think as designers, we should always look for opportunities where we can push beyond the bounds that we know and start breaking those rules just a little bit. Also, it's not too common that you see a white poster with all yellow elements here. There are no stark or soft black colors to really balance these elements here. It's all just yellow. So this is definitely one of my favorites for communicating its message very clearly and effectively. Okay, so I wanted to include some kind of a design with a photo, because I think we can get inspiration from just about anywhere. And what's really interesting about this is that it's so simple in its execution. I'm pretty sure that this triangle composition is using the same photo as the background. But what they did here in Photoshop was duplicate the layer, rotate it, and then mask it by putting it inside of a triangle. I think it's perfectly fine that they use the same photo here, although I wonder if it would be more interesting to use a different photo from the same session. So have your background photo, and then with all of the same camera settings, use a different photo within this placeholder. I don't know, it may or may not be a little bit disorienting depending on how you do it, but it's just an interesting idea and a way to change things up just a little bit. And here's all the designs that we talked about in this video. Let me know what your favorite one is down in the comments below. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I do look forward to doing more of these. Please like the video and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.